Good morning. Welcome to Teens Time Out, the program where we celebrate the unique experiences of teenage life, explore the challenges and opportunities that define adolescence, and dive into the conversations that matter most to teenagers, families, and communities. We are open for advert placement, news and event coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product and service promotion and commercials. You can connect with us on all our 18 socials on Facebook and YouTube, on Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok, on Atlantic TV Network, one on Twitter, on Atlantic TV Net, which is live on our website at www.atlantic.net.work.tv. Joining us today to um, this special people. They have actually been with us for the first one of the shows that we had on Teens Timeouts. And the first on my left is Deborah Obodofin. It's a pleasure to have you here. I hope I pronounced your surname rightly. Thank you for being here. And the second on my right is Ibiene Ibiama. It's also a pleasure to have you here, Ibiame.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Today we'll be discussing on most of the challenges that teenagers face. We know that teenagers face many challenges, including academic, social, and emotional issues which affect their daily life, families, and close loved ones. These challenges oftentimes are difficult to overcome, while most aren't if they seek help. But today we'll be looking at a few of them. First, we'll be looking at the causes, effects of anxiety, and the depression it has in teenagers. We know that anxiety and depression are common mental health conditions that can occur together. They have different symptoms and causes, but they worsen each other's symptoms. It's a mental disorder that can affect anyone. In teenagers, anxiety cannot help with motivation at school, sports, or work. If anxious feelings don't go away, then they can interfere with school, socializing with friends, and enjoying life. Anxiety and depression can be caused by a combination of factors, including genetics, environment, stress, and mental health. A trauma is one of them, and it is a fact of experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event of abuse, losing a loved one, substance abuse, and personality defects. As young adults connect more on social media, may feel even more socially isolated because of constant exposure to highly edited, filtered, and unrealistic portrayals of the lives of others. According to an observational study done in 2016, young adults in the higher quartiles of time spent on social media had at least 15 to 20% higher chance of having depression compared to those in lower quartiles of social media use. And quickly, I'd love to start with you, Ibieme, and I'd love to ask you one question. In a basic African home, should parents pay attention to their teenage transition stage, especially the female folks? You know, in the times where when we talk about anxiety and depression, it's a mental disorder, and it's not just basically affected, it doesn't just affect the teenage folks. It's cut across every aspect. Even grown-ups get affected by this anxiety and depression. Well, as teenagers, some of them do not really know how to deal with this. I'm sure you're aware, you've heard about anxiety and depression and the effect it has. In an African home, do you think parents should pay attention to that transition stage where oftentimes we see that some of them decide to be isolated from the family members. Some of them decide not to communicate. You know, oftentimes we see certain times when dinner is served and everyone is supposed to be on the dining, and it's always a particular one that decides not to eat with a family member. In that instance, are parents supposed to be close to that particular child, that particular teenager that emotionally feels left out of the family?
I feel like parents, they should be very conscious about the way their children behave, because there's some small actions they make that may seem like nothing, but it's actually very personal and different. So I feel like they should pay more attention to their children.
Okay.
Try talking to them every once in a while so that they can be able to open up to you, so you'd understand them better.
Okay. So in a situation where that particular child or teenager refuses to open up to that to that feeling of emotional distress, that depression stage, what should be done in that instance?
Done by who?
The parents. When you notice your child is not being open to you, is not having that openness with you, is not giving you that room to want to be involved in that situation that makes he or she isolated from the family member. What do you think the parents should do in that instance?
They should focus on getting closer to their children, trying to know them better, trying to
Okay.
understand them as a person. You can engage in different activities you know they like doing, just a form of connecting with them.
Have you seen movies where in a particular home, a basic social home, where there's always this particular child that decides not to be in the midst of every other person? Have you seen situations like that? How do you think in that instance a parent should deal with that? Because when you say you want to be in that space, you want to, do things that make them happy. Is that what you're trying to say? Oftentimes, happiness is actually far away. I know I'm not supposed to ask you all of that, but times, let's say, let's give an example, an instance where a teenager sees a particular set of people, set of teenagers on social media, and they actually portray a kind of lifestyle that that particular teenager wants to do, and the parents do not give him or her the opportunity to do that, and the person falls into depression. How would the parents actually come into that space?
I feel like they should try to create this understanding in children that you can't have everything.
Okay.
That's the truth. You may see people having, you should appreciate where you're in, the kind of situation you're in, because you could be in a situation where you can't live that life you want. The life you're seeing on social media every day, it could be luxury and all that stuff. You should just be more content. And if it helps, you can try, like, cut off social media. Just don't always be online. Try to focus on yourself.
Do you think that would help?
Yes.
Okay.
Try focusing on yourself.
I will still come back to you. Thank you. Deborah, I would love to ask you, what do you think actually causes anxiety and depression in life of teenagers?
Like social media, of course, because they'll feel really insecure. Because they'll be like that lifestyle you guys were talking about. They'll be like, oh, this person has this lifestyle. Why can't I have it? Like, oh, and sometimes their parents don't have the financial capability to like help them to make the child be in that lifestyle. So they're now like this life so frustrating. Like, why is it me? Why can't I be like that person? And then cutting social media, cutting them off from social won't be the solution, because they'll feel like you're trying to take away their life, because that is where like they gain the little happiness they're gaining from, because they're already frustrated.
Okay.
And if you just cut them off, they will now feel worse. That you're just trying to like make them more and more frustrated.
Okay, thank you. So you're saying that social media should actually not be cut off entirely.
It can be monitored, but not cut off entirely.
Okay. Why do teenagers who deal with anxiety and depression prefer to speak with friends and extended relatives instead of close family?
Because most of the time, not everybody's close family is very open to situations like this. Like most of our Nigerian parents, they feel all this, like, anxiety is not a problem. It's just you doing yourself. At times they just be like, I beg, control yourself, kind of thing. I feel like they need to understand that it's deeper. There's a deeper meaning to this anxiety, and it's actually a really huge problem. So they decide to speak to friends because these are people that understand them better, or extended family because they feel these are people that will be able to connect with them better and understand their situation.
I would love to throw out a question there. Have any of you been in a situation where you feel depressed or anxious about a particular lifestyle, feel like you're not being treated in a way that you want to be treated, feeling maybe in the educational aspect, let's say there's this particular subject or course that has really been, dealing with you, or you're trying to get that particular A for it and you're not getting it and it pushes you to that state. Has anybody been in that situation?
Yeah.
Have you?
I used to feel anxious, but not because of that.
Okay, let me hear from her first. What actually caused it?
Like, you try to read the subjects.
Okay.
You read, you understand. Then when you get to the example, you're like, this is not what I read. Like it's not as if it's even similar to what I read. So that thing now makes you really, really sad because as if you just wasted your time reading. And then it just kept on happening. And I'm like, what's going on?
Did you speak to someone about it?
Yeah.
You know, in this instance, I feel you can talk to a teacher. If you ask me, you know, people might have minders on counselors in schools. Yeah, you can decide to talk to a counselor. You can decide to talk to your particular teacher that you feel is one of your favorite teacher, and tell the teacher, this is what I'm actually dealing with, and I would need a way out of this. You know, is that way you can pull me through to give me a time, a curriculum or something that an area of concentration, you know, that I would have to read and not read amiss or not read out of place and all of that. I feel that will also help, because if you talk to her, she will give you the advice that she knows based on her knowledge of understanding. But the teacher will actually give you a better, you know, advice, and it will actually give you a better result if you ask me.
She told me to meet the physics teacher.
Okay.
To explain further, like put me through. So when time he teaches me, there's some things he'll say that are not in the textbook or the notebook.
But like you stated, if let's say she did not give you that more push to talk to the physics teacher, there are some teenagers out there that will get into the situation. They'll be like, no, I can't go to that physics teacher. I don't want him or her to see me like that. And yes, if you go to your classmates and you feel like you're not getting it, you can also go to a teacher or counselor, a mind or someone. Let me hear from you, Biame. What was you said yours wasn't anxiety. What was it actually?
It was anxiety, not really, not a very intense stage. It was more of a situation where I felt, oh, that I'm not good enough, everybody is going to be judging me. So I was very shy. I couldn't stand up in class, I couldn't speak in class.
Okay.
But then I just grew out of it over time.
Okay, oftentimes when you talk about this, you're part of not being good enough. So certain things that can also involve, that can cause this depression and anxiety stage in the life of teenagers could be sometimes feeling a body, how do I put it? When you feel like insecurity, when you feel insecure about your body, you feel like, everybody is wanting to have, everybody's looking at this kind of body as a teenager. Oh, why can't I have this kind of body? And oftentimes some of them want to starve themselves, you know, not want to do certain things, you know, just out of it. That could also be another factor that can trigger anxiety and depression in teenagers. Well, I would love to get your thoughts quickly. In the sense where a teenager gets involved in that situation, what should he or she do if he gets involved or find him or herself in an anxious state or depressed state?
They could try meeting a therapist, because there are people specialized in most of these mental disorders. Or they are actually, you can do different things at home that can actually calm your state, because you know when you have anxiety, it's this situation where there's this intense feeling, and it's actually, it can be deadly at times.
Yes.
So I think that you could try breathing exercises, meditating. Just try and find a state where you can be calm and peaceful. Really
and avoid watching certain things that could trigger your mind and all of that. But get your thoughts too, Deborah.
Distract you from the anxiety.
Do things that make you happy to distract you from the anxiety.
Or like you can write your thoughts down. Like if you can't open up to someone, writing it down will make you feel better.
Well, that's a good one still. Thank you on that, guys. Well, moving forward. Worldwide, pregnancy complications are the leading cause of deaths for women and girls 15 to 19 years old. WHO defines adolescence as the period between the ages of 10 and 19 years. Pregnancy can occur with sexual intercourse after the start of ovulation, which can happen before the first menstrual period. In healthy, well-nourished girls, the first period usually takes place between the ages of 12 and 13. Pregnant teenagers faces many of the same pregnancy-related issues as other women. Teenagers are more likely to experience pregnancy complications or maternal deaths than women aged 20 or older. There are additional concerns for those under the age of 15 as they are less likely to be physically developed to sustain a healthy pregnancy or to give birth. Some causes of teenage pregnancy could be lack of information about sexual and reproductive health and rights, inadequate access to services tailored to young people, family, community and social pressure to marry, sexual violence, child, early and forced marriage, which can be both a cause and a consequence, and there could be lack of education or school dropouts. And let's look at the part of this school dropouts instance. Oftentimes, school dropouts cannot lead to teenage pregnancy. It's actually when there is teenage pregnancy that a teenager drops out of school. But let me start with you, Ibieme. What do you understand as teenage pregnancy?
Being pregnant while you're under the age, underaged, yeah.
At what age to what age?
I feel like as long as you're under 19,
Okay.
I consider that teenage pregnancy.
All right. Deborah, what role should the family, school, and community play in preventing teenage pregnancy?
They should teach the students about the implications of teenage pregnancy and how to abstain from sex at a young age.
Okay.
Because getting pregnant at a young age can alter many opportunities for them in life. And if a child sees that, they'll be like, oh, if it's going to spoil my life, why will I do it? So they should try and get into their mind that it's not the right path.
Okay, that's more like having a sex education time in school, or should it be added in the curriculum of the school?
Yes, like grooming should be done like during assemblies. Like they should separate both genders and talk to them very well so that they'll know what's not and what to do.
Okay, and in part of the community, what should the community do in that aspect?
Outreaches, like they can go around, gather children or teenagers from the community and tell them, and also teach them to, and not also like they should not do it so that the younger generation won't also adapt to the acts.
Okay. If I may ask, Ebieme, what other factors contribute to teenage pregnancy?
Like factors that cause teenage pregnancy. I feel like most of the time it could be them making the choice of going to engage in sexual intercourse, or at times it could be in family situations where the parents set them up for these things. That's how you see young children becoming prostitutes and things like that, having their parents push them out there as a means of making money because of poverty.
Okay, that's one of the factors. How about in an instance where a particular teenage gets raped? We're not going to talk about rape case because that could be another topic of discussion, and how to curb rape and the issues surrounding rape and all of that. But in an instance where a particular teenager is raped, in that instance, let's look at it from an African society where a particular teenager is abused sexually. What would be your thoughts in that instance if that teenager decides to keep that pregnancy? In an African home where some parents will be like, I don't want you to spoil the name of this family. You will not bring us to shame. And oftentimes you see these teenagers drop out of school, their lives are on hold, they are literally going to be forced to keep that pregnancy and probably turn into something else. You know, and oftentimes you notice that most of the teenagers that were actually affected had lives full. They had full of lives ahead of them. They had future that they have planned, something they've actually decided that, oh, some of them will be like, I want to be a doctor, I want to become this something in life, and then they become victim of rape. In that instance, what should the community, what should the family and the school do in that situation?
At first, if they were raped, and it's definitely not their fault that they got pregnant, so they should learn to be accepting and try to connect with them to make them feel it's okay, we're going to be here with you, we'll all get through this together. Don't make them feel alone in their situation.